What's up, Mooncutter fans? It is a wonderful, late, super late, 2:19 in the morning. Had originally planned on going at midnight, but things got pushed back because had to wait on my guest for the night. That being said, welcome our good old friend Eric from Shock Sports to the squad.
That's Apache helicopter to you. What's going on? How you doing?
Oh
man,
you know, just
I mean,
the
if you're gonna call me out, you got to
plus,
at least do it right, okay? Nah, I'm just messing. What's going
the
on?
the one plus to getting pushed back is we have one extra game to discuss that's already out of the way for this week, week 17. But
That's right.
I mean, I'm glad that somehow I'm getting this back to once a week episodes, because the fact that it kind of fell by the wayside for about a month, it kind of pissed me off. So,
Damn.
yeah. But we're going to jump right into the week 16 results. We're going to try and fly through as much as possible, make this a shorter episode because it is 2:30 in the morning. I got a doctor's appointment to make sure my sister's at like 10:30. And then I got to come back home from that and try to go back to sleep before working 4 p.m. to 7 a.m. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun long night.
There you go.
Comments are ready.
Oh, good. Oh, wait a second. Good God, I thought that was you at first, DJ. I was like, damn, you got rough looking. What? I got rough looking? Oh, no. Yeah, probably.
I'm assuming this is a friend of yours because I have no clue who he is.
Yes,
but,
he is. He's a good buddy
from his
of mine.
profile picture, from the profile picture on the bottom, and he's going to talk about us being rough looking.
It's all right.
All I'm saying.
He's a sexy human being. We'll just put it that way.
We're going to jump right into the recaps, though.
Yeah, nah, he's good. He's a good guy.
Well, thanks for tuning in, Brandon.
Oh, he thought it was you. He said you're rough looking. Oh man, he said I thought you was the dude in blue. Oh man, I'm sorry, my bad. He's talking about you.
Well, welcome to Mooncutter Sportscast.
That's right. So yeah, he's rough looking. I'm the good looking one on here. He needs the ratings. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, say, look, he even loves me.
Eric, I want to ask, what are you drinking tonight? Because it's obviously not water.
I'm not drinking anything. I just got home from work. You know.
Anyways, let's jump right into this. Cool. We already have a retweet on this episode.
Well, your Jets got spanked 19-3. That was the first game of the week. That was pretty cool to watch.
All I need to say on this game is thank God Mike White is healthy for week 17. And we don't have to worry about Zach Wilson. Hopefully the Jets are able to trade him to some schmucky team that is looking for a project quarterback. Because he's obviously not our answer.
I think he's going to be one of these QBs. It's going to be 4 years and out in this league. That's where Zach Wilson's trajectory is headed to.
Unless he gets moved elsewhere, he might be 2 and out.
Yeah, that's where he's headed at. I mean, now the Jets could either keep Mike White and just go with him for the future, or draft there again, which I think they will, probably in a later round, since they think Mike White will be the guy. They might go to the late round pick.
I don't even see a draft happening. There are going to be enough high-quality free agents on the market this year that I can see us bringing in our guy for next year through free agency.
Yeah, but are we taking into account that some of them are going to re-sign with their current teams? That always happens with quarterbacks.
Yes, which is why the 3 names that I'm thinking of, only the 3 names I'm thinking of, one of them will probably re-sign. The other 2 are both solid options. And you may agree or disagree with me on the one. But there was some flash in the fourth quarter when they brought Strevler in, but that quickly fizzled out. Otherwise, the Jets did not look good in this game at all.
No, just a field goal.
A lot of that
for their showing.
that again, a lot of that is the Zach Wilson factor, because without Mike White, we didn't do shit.
Well,
And realistically,
it's been clear Mike White's
as I've been saying since the injury happened, a large part of this is also one key injury that derailed this whole team this year. And no, I'm not talking about Breece Hall. Yes, that hurt, but the one injury that killed the Jets this year was Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yeah.
Moving down to the Saturday games, Ravens knocked off the Falcons easily with 17-9.
Like I said, that
not going to go too much. Not going to go too much into that one because we all knew that was going to happen. A game that was a lot more high scoring than we thought it was going to be. The Panthers 37 over the 23 Lions. I don't even know. Who did the Panthers have?
Panthers look like a team now after they fired Matt Rule. I think it's safe to say that.
I can buy into that a little bit.
This run-heavy team they turned into even after they traded Christian McCaffrey, it's been working. I think they draft a offensive lineman again in the first round. I don't know. If I was the GM, that's what I'm thinking of doing here. This coach, probably keep him on as the head coach, and then let him work his game plan. But I don't know. These guys always have their own little projects going on in their head. Let's see what the Panthers do. Probably going to go with a former head coach. You told me something about how apparently Mike Tomlin might get traded.
I heard that being discussed on 93.7 The Fan a couple weeks ago.
Oh, God.
I don't know how much weight is behind it.
Not a lot.
But
not a lot.
But it would only
be the first time in 20 years.
That a coach has been involved in a trade. Yes. What's up, Glenn? How are you, buddy? Now, with the Panthers, I'm just looking at the stat line here, and you're right. The rush game did come up big. You had a combined.
Foreman and the other guy.
Between Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman, almost 300 rushing yards in this game.
I remember picking up Chuba Hubbard just because of that running game getting better. I picked him up in free agency. I mean, it obviously didn't work as I get eliminated in the first round trying to defend my crown this year, but it's whatever. We'll come back.
As a Jets fan that actually has his jersey hanging in my closet, it's nice seeing that Sam Darnold's starting to look like a serviceable quarterback. Unfortunately, it's not with us. But, I mean, 15 for 22 for 250 passing yards and 1 touchdown, no interceptions. That's
so what you're saying is, yeah, right. So what you're saying is that the Jets made the wrong decision getting rid of him. Because at the time I felt like it was the right move. What's that?
At the time, so did I. But looking at what we've dealt with the past 2 years, especially this year with Zach Wilson, it's starting to seem that way.
Yeah. Starting to seem like he should have just stuck it out. Maybe he would have played through it.
And honestly, I will give a small hint here. One of the players I'm looking at for the Jets to possibly bring in via free agency is a former Jet.
Really?
However, his game this past week did not have the greatest showing, but was also playing against, if I'm not mistaken, the top team in the AFC right now, or second seed in the AFC.
Who are you thinking? Robbie Anderson?
No, not Robbie Anderson. I'm talking quarterback, bro. And I was thinking Geno Smith might be an option, but I'm going to be honest. I think Seattle. I don't think he will be on the market. I see Seattle re-signing him.
Really? Yeah. I was going to say, he has really shown he is meant to be a starting quarterback in this league, showing that the Jets, I don't know, the Jets just fucking can't draft, I guess, or can't coach, or both. At this point, it has to be something.
this definitely wasn't the best game for Geno, going 25 for 40 for 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But at the same time, you're playing against someone that I personally think is overrated, but a lot of people have as the top of the elite quarterbacks in the league right now, and that's Pat Mahomes, who, by the way, only completed 16 of 28 passes, but got 224 and 2 touchdowns. So good game for him. Not much of a running game in this game for the.
And hey, there's the guy who beat me in the first round of playoffs. He says Seattle's trying to make a move for C.J. Stroud. So they draft very high this year, he says.
We shall see.
C.J. Stroud, he's going to be a top 10 pick. So I don't know if Seattle's going to – is Seattle a top 10 pick this year? Are they that bad? I don't think they were bad, though. I thought they were decent with Geno.
I mean, Seattle should have not only their first-round pick this year because the Jets already extended the picks that were involved in the Jamal Adams trade, but Seattle also did pick up, I believe, the next 3 years of first rounds from Denver, so they could. However, I see them using that to bring in more weapons, try to draft a top-tier receiver. Because honestly, DK Metcalf has been slowing down, and they need a top threat.
But Metcalf has like muscles bigger than your head. I mean, shouldn't that be enough to be a receiver in the NFL? I thought that's all you needed.
Yeah. But you also need a decent amount of strength. Not strength, but speed.
Yeah, I think he's got the strength. Have you ever seen what he looks like? Oh my
god. Saints and Browns. Heartbreaking loss for the Browns because they are.
Dante disagrees with you.
Pretty much.
He says Metcalf's been good all year. Sorry.
Saints now playing Andy Dalton under center instead of Jameis Winston. And honestly, Deshaun Watson for the Browns, I've been saying it from the get-go with this trade in the offseason, was a mistake. And going 15 for 31, only getting 135 passing yards and 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's pretty much starting to prove my point. The only 2 touchdowns in the game were rushing touchdowns, or was a rushing touchdown from Deshaun.
Well, and again, it's funny as a Steelers fan when you get to laugh and cry at Cleveland's pain because they went all in on a quarterback who likes a little bit of extra touchies, if you know what I mean. It's funny whenever they put all their chips on the table and they have to – and they get a bad beat on a read they think is going to be awesome, like getting Deshaun Watson after his stupid scandal. And you get this.
Now,
awesome.
I want to know at this point how many Cleveland fans are willing to say we fucked up and we should have kept Baker. Especially looking at
I said stay with Baker since day one. I thought Baker Mayfield, he's the reason why they have a playoff win, their only playoff win since they're coming back into the league.
Most wins in
he's the reason.
Most wins in franchise history.
Right. He's the reason, and they told him to go fuck himself. And now you get – I mean, this is awesome. I love it. Cleveland shoot themselves in the foot. They finally get somebody. Yeah, he's a little brash, right? He likes to talk a lot of crap at press conferences. He doesn't like the media. But so what? He's not exactly a role model, but the guy's a good quarterback on the field. That's all you can ask for, especially as Cleveland.
No.
And he has one bad year because he played through with a bum shoulder, and they told him to go screw himself.
True. And now we're going to skip ahead a bit because we were already on the topic of Baker Mayfield. So let's continue with the topic of Baker Mayfield. But the highest score of the week, Rams 51 over Broncos 14.
Wow.
And you want to talk about how much of a mistake it was letting go of Baker? 24 for 28, 230 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, I was shocked when the Rams signed him. I wasn't sure what it was for. They already have 10 losses. What's the point? I mean,
Staff being ruled out for the year and needing somebody to fill in. But honestly, at this point,
why are they trying
Baker
to win when they should be trying to lose?
Knowing Stafford's shoulder injury, knowing that I believe his contract was only for 2 years when they signed him, and looking at how much Baker's been balling out.
Go ahead.
Knowing, he had 2 years left on his contract when they traded for him, I believe.
Yeah,
maybe three because Stafford is not actually listed as a pending free agent. But the fact that Baker has played as well as he has since going to LA, I wouldn't be surprised if LA decides to re-sign him. If not,
I would.
If not, he's definitely raising his stock for contract elsewhere next year.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you put Baker in the right system, he will be good for your football team. You have to be able to let him use his legs. I think he would be a great fit in Pittsburgh. Here's the hot take of the day, and it's going to piss off a lot of Pitt fans. I would take Baker Mayfield over Kenny Pickett in a heartbeat right now. That is my starting quarterback.
Oh, as would I. I'm
sorry, dude. I know here in Pittsburgh we like to kiss the ground that Kenny Pickett walks on because he went to Pitt. Trust me, I'm a huge Pitt fan, but let's not sit here and say Jesus Christ here in Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is human. And
you know what? Now that I think about it,
I don't know if you have a banner here for this Pittsburgh game. I can't find it on there.
Anyways, Dante chiming in here. Saying that Stafford has 2 years left. You know what? You're right, because he had 1 year left when he was traded for and signed a 3-year extension. Now that I think about it, so
okay,
we will get Pittsburgh game. I do want to touch on this one though. The Broncos. Oh, how the fall from grace has continued for Russell Wilson. 15 for 27, 214 passing yards. Yes, he threw a touchdown, but he also threw 3 interceptions before he was pulled for a rip-in.
It's amazing. I thought Russell Wilson was coming to the Denver Broncos to save the franchise, and instead he's killing it. He's taking the butcher knife. He's taking it by the throat, that Denver Bronco, that Bronco logo, and he's just slicing it, man. He's killing it. I don't know what's going on with Russell. They're paying him money to throw duds out there.
Both of the blockbuster trades that happened this offseason
not working.
Ended up being extreme screw jobs for the teams that that were trading 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because right now, between the Seattle-Denver trade and the Houston-Cleveland trade, I'm going to say this: the Seahawks and Texans both look like absolute freaking geniuses.
I know the Texans get a high pick. They get to replace that quarterback with somebody better probably and has less touchy-feely problems. That'll help.
Oh, my God.
I'm just being honest, bro. I tell it like it is. You bring me on here, you get honesty. They're going to get somebody
move on
with
to a game
on their shoulders like a C.J. Stroud or a Bryce Young. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
All right, we're going to move on to a game that probably broke both of our hearts, or that broke your heart and helped me and made me happy. But Bengals 22 over Patriots 18.
It broke my heart.
The Bengals get another win?
Yeah. Well, at this point, I know the Steelers aren't going to make the playoffs, so it doesn't break my heart if these teams win anymore at this point. Now, if we were fighting for an actual playoff spot, then of course it's like, God damn it. We don't have nothing to play for.
Pittsburgh technically is still fighting for a playoff spot. They are still.
I know we are, but I know we ain't getting it. The odds are stacked against us. It's just not happening. I just don't believe in this team this season. I believe this is Mike Tomlin's first losing season. We will lose against the Ravens this Sunday night, guaranteed.
Dante leaving
better than
Joe Burrow, we trust.
Yep, sure. In Burrow, we trust. Hopefully, they'll win this time. Well, the Rams ain't good, so I'm not sure who the biggest foe of the NFC will be. if he would make it. But who knows?
I don't know about that. For in Burrow,
see
we
the
trust
Bills making it.
40 for 52. 40 for 52. Yes, he threw 375 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he also threw 2 interceptions in that game.
Now,
versus Mac
I would
Jones.
I would have to look at the footage and see what the interceptions looked like before I made a judgment on that. What kind of interceptions are we talking? One to T. Higgins. Fluky? Or was it an actual bad read? There's 2 different kinds. You have to remember.
Marcus Jones. It looks like Marcus Jones, Devin McCourty, and I'm only seeing the 2 interceptions. Oh, that was 2 interceptions. My bad. But Devin McCourty and Marcus Jones got the 2 interceptions. I don't know if that tells you much.
No.
But we're going to move on because we got a lot to unpack still in this. Vikings pick up a 27-24 win over the Giants.
The fact that the Giants are able to withstand against the Vikings like that, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Kirk Thuggins just comes back, 34 for 48, 299 passing yards. Yes, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Nice. Touchdowns to a double dose to TJ Hawkinson and a third to Justin Jefferson. For the Giants, Daniel Jones, 30 for 42, 334, 1-1. So Jones actually threw the ball more, but Cousins was more effective. Cousins threw the ball more, but for shorter pickups and better precision.
I see. Kirk Thuggins.
Dante,
even had to let me know
that's his nickname.
Thuggins. Yeah.
That's his nickname, Eric Thuggins. Get with it.
Yeah.
But the Vikings are looking pretty good going into the as the season wears down. Bills 35, Bears 13.
Well, of course, and here's Dante, right? Here's a guy, he prevents me from defending my trophy. And not only that, he's sitting here correcting me on nicknames, man. This is crazy. Yeah. We're going to have to get a chain on this Dante, man.
Bills 35, Bears 13. And this was a very run-heavy game for Buffalo. Josh Allen, 15 for 26, 172 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which Gabe Davis, Austin Knox were the 2 recipients. Otherwise, 3 of their touchdowns came on the rush. 1 from Josh Allen himself, 1 from James Cook, who rushed 11 times for 99 yards, and 1 from Devin Singletary, who rushed 12 times for 106. So there is a little bit of question about Josh Allen going into this because only of just barely over a 50% completion percentage and equal on touchdowns and interceptions. But I digress. Moving over to the Bears, Justin Fields, 15 for 23, 119 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And Nathan Peterman took the field for 5 snaps, 3 completions, 25 yards, and an interception.
Wait a minute. Nathan Peterman's still in the league?
Apparently.
Oh, my God. Man, that was my guy at Pitt when he was the starter before Kenny Pickett. That was the last Pickett. That was the last starter at Pitt before Kenny Pickett. Man,
look at how he's panned out in the NFL. And
I know. Now we got Keaton Slovis, who played like absolute dog shit all year. I cannot wait for Slovis to be an NFL quarterback, 6th round pick.
Now,
ahead.
We're going to move on to the game that I know anybody listening thought I was insane for calling last week. But I digress. Texans pick up a 19 win, 19 points to 14 over the Titans.
See, now that Texans defense, I noticed that defense is the defense of the future. When you watch that Texans team, right? They figured it out. Now it's up to them to figure out the offense, and they need it. They don't have receivers. They don't have a quarterback. That's good. Their offensive line's terrible. They just need an offense. If Houston can get that offense going, man, next 3-4 seasons, they can just build it up and maintain the D. That'll be solid.
I mean, yes, when Philip Dorsett is your leading receiver, you got issues. But at the same time, look at where they were last year. Look at how many new pieces they have to their team. They are looking as the whole unit. They had the least chemistry coming into this year because how many new pieces were there? And honestly, I don't think Davis Mills has been terrible. The game alone.
Well, they are going to look to replace him.
Well, yes, but given the situation he's been put in, and given where he was ranked before getting put in the position he's in, I'd have to say exceeded expectations.
I wouldn't say exceeded, but I would say he's playing okay. Davis Mills is just playing like a quarterback you need in this kind of situation, in this kind of season, to get you through it until you get that stud in the draft. Because the NFL don't have a draft lottery. So.
Speaking of studs in the draft, the guy that was touted as the top quarterback in this last year's draft class might not have been picked as the top quarterback, but he's the one that definitely had the highest praise coming into the draft. I'll say Malik Willis definitely did not perform as well as Davis Mills. 14 for 23, 99 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, it is what it is. That again, we knew this quarterback class coming in this year was not going to be that good. We knew it was a dud of a class. And so far, experts were right. This draft class for quarterbacks is terrible. How has Desmond Ridder been doing? I have not heard anything about him.
I don't know.
I don't even know if he started a game yet. There hasn't been any news about him that I've heard of.
I've not heard anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, none of these quarterbacks are good. We knew this. Pittsburgh drafted one in the 7th round just to get rid of them in preseason. So
Frank
we knew
James
this draft.
Coming in, how we doing, gents? We're doing good.
Exactly. With Dante on this one, this QB class absolutely is garbage. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 long-term players out of this quarterback class, maybe even only 1.
Well, I think Dante
Pickett has the tangibles to be the long-term quarterback in this class. But
I think Dante might also be talking about next year's quarterback class or this year's coming quarterback class.
What do you mean? This is one of the better ones. Bryce Young, a Heisman Trophy winner, C.J. Stroud. You got yourself a pretty decent-looking class coming up. I'm not sure what he's talking about. If he's talking about the upcoming one. This past one absolutely sucked. I think that's what he's
looking at. I'm also going to look back at the 2018 class, which was supposed to have been.
Okay, yeah. See, yeah, he
touted.
I'm right. He's talking about this.
Okay, he corrected himself.
Year's draft class. He says this year's class coming in is the best QB class in a few years, and I absolutely agree with him.
I mean, do you think it's better than what 2018's class was touted to have been? What should have been? Is my question, because
I think this class is going to be awesome. They're all fast quarterbacks who can throw the ball. That's insane. Like this class is literally the next generation of quarterbacks coming up in this league. It's going to be exciting to see who stays and who goes.
All right.
I think you even have a good option at in the later rounds too. It's pretty good depth. I think you have 6.
Let's talk. You want to talk about quarterbacks out of this past draft class that actually look like they might deserve to be in the NFL?
What's that?
The 49ers
Oh,
picking
yeah.
up a 37-20 win over the
Yeah,
Commanders.
Brock Purdy, dude. That is my guy. Brock the Big Cock. He is awesome. And yes, that's his nickname. Yes. What? That's his nickname.
I don't know which is worse.
You were giving me nicknames earlier. I give you a nickname that I've heard 49ers fans call, and you're giving me crap?
Coming from the same guy that loves to call, what was it? Was it Foles that you love to call Big Dick Nick?
Yeah, Big Dick Nick. And now we got Brock Big Cock Purdy. He is taking over there in San Fran. All right, I have to say.
But I want to see what this dude's stats line looked like in this game because
Brock is taking his big cock all the way to the Super Bowl. Mark my words on that. I think the 49ers got it.
All right, 15 for 22, 234 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Both of his touchdowns, compliments of George Kittle. As well as rushing touchdowns added in by McCaffrey and McLeod. Versus the...
What's up, Frankie? I finally just seen your comment. What's going on? I just realized he's in here.
Versus the Commanders, who I guess switched quarterbacks midway through the game. Because we got Taylor Heineke that threw 13 for 8 out of 18 for 166. 2 touchdowns and an interception. Then Carson Wentz, 12 for 16, 123, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And yeah, the Commanders are one team that have definitely exceeded expectations this year, I'd say. I mean, looking at the fact that they're 7-7-1.
It's pretty funny. I decided I always pick one random, like out of nowhere, like Super Bowl winner. I'm like, they got Carson Wentz. I think they got a safe shot, and they're still in contention for a playoff spot. So, like, I'm pulling for the Commanders.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. The fact they're sitting here at 7-7-1 is still on the bubble going into Week 17. I had the Commanders as maybe. I had them at the beginning of the season as maybe a 4 or 5 win team.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to that episode and see where I had.
And the Niners have been a roller coaster for me all year. Starting the season with Trey Lance, I had them as playoff hopeful, but probably out in the first round. Starting the season with Trey Lance, I had them as a maybe above 500 team on the outside looking in of the playoffs. Then when Trey Lance went down and Garoppolo got his job back that he should have never lost at the beginning of the year, I had them making the playoffs. Then they traded for McCaffrey. I had them at that point as my favorite to win the Super Bowl. Then Garoppolo goes down and Brock Purdy steps up the way he has. I don't know if I have them winning the Super Bowl, but I definitely have them making it to the NFC Championship game.
I mean, this team's been rallying around Brock Purdy. They see him as a leader. I mean, right now, he's been leading them. He's been shown why he should have been picked earlier than a Kenny Pickett, probably earlier than a Malik Willis, earlier than a Desmond Ridder.
Yes, for sure.
Probably showing his worth.
I definitely, depending on how the seeding falls for the in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to say I think the NFC Championship game will most likely be the 49ers versus the Cowboys.
Yeah. The Cowboys are solid. If they can stop choking every 5 seconds. They're already choking. Yeah. It's not even playoffs yet. I mean, they look like they're about to choke.
Luckily for them, Tony Pollard just got a much-needed night off to rest up for the playoff rush. So we'll see what happens there. And I love how these segues are working out because the next game on the docket to discuss was the Cowboys winning over the Eagles 40-34.
Yeah, that was a higher scoring
Now,
game than I liked it to be. I don't know how the Eagles scored 34 without Jalen Hurts. It's pretty impressive. I got to show you how deep this Eagles team is.
let's bring this one up.
Fortunately, they couldn't withhold the Cowboys, but
I mean, they did have some Minshew mania going on with them. 24 for 40, 355 passing yards, and he went 2-2 with touchdown interception ratio. But the Cowboys, 27 for 35, 347 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception for Dak Prescott. A big touchdown for Zeke Elliott. CeeDee Lamb with 2 touchdowns and 1 for Michael Gallup in that game. Look, if they keep up the way they've played the past 2 games, the Cowboys are getting hot at the right time.
And that's usually how it is until you get to a playoff game. Then it's like, uh-oh, is this the time they choke? Again? I don't know. It's usually the story with the Cowboys. They did it last year.
Yes, but the most notable a playoff choke artist to the past 10 years, I think we both got to agree, has got to be the Green Bay Packers, who we will be touching on.
Yeah, they're pretty good at that too.
Shortly.
They usually like to lose against the Niners lately.
Oh, God. But again, I don't even think the Packers are going to be in a position to choke in the playoffs this year. Now we'll talk about one of the coldest weather games I think we've seen in a while. The Saturday night primetime game where Pittsburgh picked up a big field goal win over the Raiders.
Yeah. A big touchdown.
And I'm not going to lie.
It was a big touchdown. We scored a touchdown to win it. We were down 10-6.
Oh, yes, that's right. But I'm going to be honest. Watching this game, which this is one of the only games this week I actually got to watch, this game was a snooze fest.
Yes, it was. It was probably one of the most normal Pittsburgh Steelers games you could watch of the 2022 football season. Like going 3 and out 8 times in a quarter. Oh, that's pretty cool to watch. Kenny Pickett, when he runs an offense, runs it like shit. I will be honest. I don't know what's going on with Kenny Pickett. This is not the Kenny Pickett we had at Pitt. I'm not sure what version of Kenny Pickett we're getting. Not a fan of it. At this point, he's going to get benched next season if he keeps it up. He's got to prove himself next week here against the Ravens.
I'm going to be honest.
If he loses this game against the Ravens, I don't know, man. His career is up for grabs at this point.
Now, I'm going to be honest, and I know you're going to disagree with me, but this goes to show what having the wrong person under center can do for your team all year. Like the Steelers probably should have already had a playoff spot clinched. But the problem is, I don't know if it was pressure on Tomlin to open the road for Pickett or what. But the man that should have been your starting quarterback all year hasn't even seen the field.
I don't know. Mason Rudolph is he's terrible. The last game he played against the Lions was god-awful. He has terrible accuracy.
Dante giving some insight onto Kenny Pickett, saying that he had one good season at Pitt. So, yes, this is the Kenny Pickett that we had at Pitt. His completion percentage in college was garbage. I don't particularly follow college. I don't particularly follow college until it's draft season, where I'll go back and look at stats. And I will say I don't remember Pickett standing out to me.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that take is hot garbage. He did have, Yeah, I'm just going to say, I'm looking at it here.
And I will say that when Pittsburgh made the choice to go quarterback in the first round, if I'm not mistaken, my first reaction was, if they're going quarterback and it's not Malik Willis, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. It's not looking pretty good. I thought he was better than that. He would get like 13 passing touchdowns a season, and then in 2021, I don't know what happened. He just like exploded. 4,300 yards, 42 touchdowns. They just went pass heavy in this final year.
But I don't know. But luckily, this game for Pittsburgh and Vegas didn't really have much implication. Both teams are still on the bubble. It just changed who had the advantage.
There you go.
But we're going to move on from that shit show.
Kenny Pickett was
Packers
a
26
three-star recruit.
We're going to move on to the Packers picking up a 26-point to 20-point win over the Dolphins, which puts the Packers at 7-8 and the Dolphins at 8-7. Aaron Rodgers, 24 for 38, 238 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, versus Tua Tagovailoa, who honestly, his passing yard number, Tua's passing yard number looks great at 310. But if you look at his completions and his touchdown interception ratio, it tells a different story. He threw 16 for 25 and touched 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The fact that throwing that many more interceptions than touchdowns and you only lost by 6, I don't know how that happens, but
okay. So here is Kenny Pickett's college stats. If you want to look at this. So he only had 4 games in 2017. He was a red shirt. I believe 4 games is the threshold as a red shirt. So that's how he was able to play the extra 5th year. So here he is as a redshirt freshman in his first season. He only had 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Now, that's not terrible, but that's pretty mediocre, right? In 2019, he has actually 3,000 yards. So he had a way better season, but still only had 13 touchdowns and 9 picks. He only blew up in his final year, which really, really upgraded his draft stock. But if he'd have been playing anywhere else, he would have probably been drafted in the 3rd round, but because he's at Pitt and we needed a quarterback and Ben retired, well, I shouldn't say Ben retired. What I should say is that Ben was forced into retirement because he talks about it all the time on his podcast. So he got forced into retirement. They said, let's pick Kenny Pickett. He'll sell us tickets. And, of course, we're looking as mediocre as ever with Mike Tomlin. But a lot of fans love it. You know, everyone I talk to in this town. They love Mike Tomlin. They love him. I don't know. I don't like mediocrity. I say we get rid of him. But any other coach would have been fired.
So,
why we tolerate it from him?
Because the Rooney way is to not ever fire your coach.
And I disagree with that 100%.
We're going to go to the trash heap game, but somehow one of these teams is probably going to be a top 4 seed in the playoffs. 19 to 16 Buccaneers over Cardinals. And this game was decided by an overtime field goal, which, by the way, Dante will probably be getting upset over this one because we're talking about his dirty birds.
That's okay. I definitely want to talk about Dante's comment, though, real quick about that, about how so many people love Kenny Pickett and, like, they defend him till, like, the end of death, the end of time. I really don't get it, Dante. I don't understand it. Like, and this is coming from a Pitt fan, okay? I love Kenny Pickett. We have to call it for what it is. I'm sorry. I don't care that he played for the Pitt Panthers. He sucks this season. All right? Look at that touchdown to interception ratio. Look at his yardage. And look at his yards per game average. How can you tell me that's the franchise? It's not. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. Okay, go ahead.
But the 19-16 Buccaneers over Cardinals victory, 32 for 48 for Brady, 281 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And this is actually the only touchdown scored by the Buccaneers in this game was to Ramondre or Rashad White. Now I know Dante is going to come in and say, but we didn't have Kyler. Well, Trace McSorley, sorry. I got these first names all jumbled tonight. 24 for 45, 217 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And then Andy Lee, 1 pass for 4 yards completion. James Conner scores a rushing touchdown in this game, which I will say he looks like he's been doing a hell of a lot better since leaving Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was gonna say this game plan's really fitting for him as a power rusher. It's been working. They actually have an offensive line that's good for power rushing, so you see that is going to work in his favor, and it has since he's been with Arizona. I think it's perfect. Sometimes you just need the right setting. And it happens to be Arizona for him. Just like how for Christian McCaffrey, it seems like San Fran is going to be his new home as he's rejoined in California since he's from Stanford.
Hey, honestly, he's got a way better chance of getting a ring with the Niners than he ever would in Carolina.
Right, and plus Carolina wasn't really fitting for him. He would always get hurt down there for some reason. Now all of a sudden he's like made of titanium this year. He's been taking some big hits.
Speaking of, can we talk about the 2 glass running backs over the past 5 years that somehow this year have managed to stay healthy and look back to what their potential has been? Not only has McCaffrey stayed healthy all year, but so has Saquon.
Yeah, Saquon's been doing good too, I noticed, on the injury front, which is excellent, which is why I think the Giants have had a chance at the playoffs. Literally, Saquon's the whole offense on the Giants. That's just how it is. Daniel Jones can run too, so they run a lot of options. That helps them.
All right.
That's why they're such a successful team in regards to the offense. When you have a dual threat quarterback.
Right, we're gonna move on to the last game from Week 16. Right. Sorry, I'm just trying to pick up the pace here because we are at almost 50 minutes and we got a lot to cover still.
You're right.
The last game from Week 16, a 17-point victory, Chargers 20 over Colts 3. Who didn't see this coming? I mean, you got Justin Herbert, who I think has solidified himself as one of the current day elites when it comes to quarterbacks.
I thought Matt Ryan
was
the answer in Indy. What the hell happened?
Well, Matt Ryan wasn't even the quarterback in this past game. It was your buddy, Big Dick Nick, as you like to call him.
Yeah, that's the guy. He didn't even play that well. At this point, it's what the hell did he call him earlier? Little Dicky Nicky.
Little Dicky Nicky.
Yeah, Little Dicky Nicky. There he is, Little Dicky Nicky. It's now Little Dicky Nicky. What was the stat line?
Foles' numbers in this game weren't the greatest. We're going to ignore that comment because that's definitely a scam artist, I believe. Wait, maybe not. I'll have to look into that later, but we're not showing that comment.
I see.
But Nick Foles' numbers on this: 17 for 29, 143 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, it's a Twitch
comment. Chargers
that's
numbers. Herbert, 24 for 31, 235 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. The only touchdowns in this game were scored on the back of Austin Eckler. I don't think there's much surprise on that one. I mean, Austin Eckler is one of the best running backs in the league this year, over the past 2 years.
I thought drafting Eckler first was a bad idea, but I guess not. He's been doing pretty good. And
I drafted Eckler first. I drafted Eckler, not going to lie, in my one league. In my one league, I drafted Eckler first overall this year.
I strongly
And
advise
honestly,
against it.
it was worth the pick. The thing that derailed my season in that league was actually Breece Hall going down, because over the season, had Breece Hall stayed active, I had Eckler, Breece Hall, and Josh Jacobs all on the same line. Now, we had one game already played this week.
I had a lot of injuries to my fantasy team.
We did have one game played this week already, which, not to toot my own horn, sorry for the cough, but I would have predicted this game correctly had we gotten to record this last night, but I apologize. I felt like absolute death. Cowboys 27 over Titans 13. The Cowboys had already clinched the playoffs, and the Titans were on the bubble. Let me double check and make sure that is still accurate. I believe the Titans are still on the bubble. They are. They are currently sitting as the 11th seed.
Yes, they are. 7-9. They still have a chance. But I highly doubt it. They have a losing season.
After this loss, they only dropped one spot on the bubble. Moving on, we're going to talk about a game that doesn't mean jack, other than who's getting an earlier draft pick. The 4-11 Cardinals at the 5-10 Falcons. Yeah, both teams are already out of contention. It's a matter of who's going to suck worse. And
let's pull on the Cardinals to suck worse and get a better pick. I don't know.
Especially if Kyler Murray is not back.
Right, I was going to say, let's get a better pick.
But yes, my choice, I think the Falcons are going to win this game. Moving on to a game that has huge implication. The 7 Dolphins at the 7-8 Patriots. The Dolphins are in the hunt. The Patriots are on the bubble. Honestly, it depends on if Tua's back firing on all cylinders or not. But both quarterbacks looked like trash this past week. I'm going to take the Dolphins in this game. And I'm doing that as a hope for myself because, as I said with you before we went live, Eric, for the Jets to still make the playoffs, we need the Dolphins to go 1-1. We need them to beat the Patriots and lose Week 18. And hoping that's what happens.
Yeah, that would take the Patriots totally out. And Dante says Kyler Murray will be back Week 1 next year. So if I'm the Cardinals, I would just tank. It is what it is there.
Yeah.
If that's the case. Yeah, no, that game's going to be exciting, especially for division implications. I do love these later in the game seasons when both teams have something to play for in that game as it gets down to the wire for playoff.
Speaking of another Speaking of another game that has playoff implications, a matchup of the Saints and the Eagles. The Saints, who are still on the bubble, versus the Eagles, who've already clinched a playoff berth, and one more win will book them the first-round bye.
Yeah, I definitely have the Eagles winning this game 100%. This defense is too good.
Oh.
I think they're going to contain this terrible offense of the Saints. So,
honestly, though, without Jalen Hurts, and do we know what his status is for Week 17?
I have no idea what his status is, but regardless, this team is too good with the depth they got. You've seen how good they played against the Cowboys. What do you think they're going to do against this team? They're going to destroy them.
I mean, that is the smart money bet, yes. I tend to like an underdog story.
Well, so do I, buddy, but this is the NFL, and that doesn't really happen much. Maybe in the playoffs, but yeah.
But
not week 16, 17. Never really happens.
The other thing I'm looking at is who is the current coach of the Saints?
I believe the defensive coordinator from last year under Sean Payton's staff took over.
because that man right now is likely playing for his job. Is likely coaching to keep his job. Because there's a lot of rumors that
After
Sean
one
Payton
season, don't
is
you
coming
hate
back
that?
and wants to. Well,
Dennis
no,
Allen, that's
the
his
rumors
name.
I'm here. Well, Dennis Allen is coaching for his job right now because there's a lot of rumor and speculation that Sean Payton is coming back next year and is likely to go back to be looking back at the Saints.
So what? He just needed a year off, cool off. Is he Michael Jordan? He just needs to cool off for a year. Maybe he wants to play baseball.
I mean, this will be the second time he's taken a year off.
Well, the first one was because he kind of had to. It is what it is.
I'm not going to say anything further on that.
What did he do? What did he do? They made They made a comedy film out of it. He literally coached his kids' team for that season.
Yes, that was actually a very enjoyable movie with Kevin James.
Yes.
But it was because of Bountygate that he got. It was Bountygate that got him kicked out of the league for a year.
Yeah, it was Bountygate. That's what I was talking about. But
me.
Sean Payton isn't coming back to the Saints. He's building an all-star coaching staff. I don't know what that means, but
now a game that I'm gonna say hands down, I'm putting my money on the Giants. But especially since they're the ones with something to play for at this point. The 4-10-1 Colts, who are already out of contention, versus the 8-6-1 Giants, who are still in the hunt, who, if the season ended today, would be in the playoffs. The 6-9 Panthers at the 7-9 Buccaneers. The Panthers are on the bubble still, and the Buccaneers currently lead the NFC South. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this. Saying that this is the Panthers, but looking at what we've seen from Darnold the past week or two, I'm actually at that in the running game they've got with the dual threat between Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. I actually think the Panthers are going to win this game.
How is one team 6-9, the other one 7-9?
Let me check that one. I might have fucked up somewhere along the way there.
Yeah, you did. Something's wrong there. They both 7-9? Just did a typo?
No. I typoed here. Let me fix that.
All right. I was just wondering. I was like, wait a second. How does that work? Okay.
That better?
Yeah, 7-8. Okay, that looks way better. Damn. Okay, so this is definitely Panthers could get the division right here with a win. Playoff implications with a crappy division. Tom Brady, this season at this point, he's like, God damn it, guys. I'm divorced. I don't know if you ever watched the movie Goon, but he's like, yeah, this is my third divorce. He's one of those guys now.
Let me ask a question. Here. In his 21 years in the league, has Tom Brady ever even missed the playoffs?
In his whole playing career, no, he has not.
So this could be this could be history.
I remember the Patriots the year he was hurt with the torn ACL. Matt Castle played for him.
But I believe
they went 10-6.
They still made the playoffs.
They did? They made the playoffs the year he was hurt. So but that year don't count. But still, they made the playoffs as a wild card team.
I'm looking here. The best NFL teams to miss the playoffs. The 2007 Cleveland Browns at 10-6. 2005 Chiefs at 10-6, the Dolphins in 2003 at 10-6, and the Niners in 91 at 10-6. So I believe the Patriots still made the playoffs. Oh, the most recent 10-win team to miss the playoffs was the 22 Philadelphia Eagles, who had a 13-2 record but didn't make the playoffs. What? Okay, that's bullshit because the playoffs aren't even happening. Okay, I don't know who the hell did that site, but that's way off.
I think they're trying to predict the future.
Yeah, I want to know how the hell they're going to go from now to not making the playoffs in 2 weeks.
I mean, they already clinched. That's going to be pretty mathematically exciting to figure that one out. Man.
Yeah, so we're going past that because that's wrong. But no, apparently the year that Matt Castle was with the Patriots, they did still make the playoffs.
Oh, then there you go. Yes, that answers your question. They lost the wild card or first round that year. Yes, they did. Matt Castle,
but they still made the playoffs.
Win. But that's how he did play for that contract with Kansas City. Kansas City signed him. He became the starter there. And you realize he was not that good when he went with Kansas City.
Now, a game where neither team really has to worry because one team doesn't have a snowball's chance of making the playoffs, and the other one have already clinched their division. But we got the 4-11 Broncos at the 12-3 Chiefs. Is there anybody in their right mind that's going to bet Broncos?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know somebody who's a bookie. I'll ask him if some people take the Broncos. I'll get back to you on that, on the betting front.
All right. Another game that I think should be an easy choice: the 3-12 Bears versus the 7-8 Lions. I'm not going to lie, the Lions. It might have taken him a few weeks to get momentum with his to get things going this year, but the Lions have been looking pretty damn solid this year, especially as the season's progressed. I think the Lions take this win.
Yes, Lions did take this win. The Bears are very disorganized, sloppy. One of the worst depth charts I think I've ever seen on a Chicago team.
All right, the Browns at 6-9 versus the 7-1 Commanders.
Browns suck. Commanders win. Hopefully they win the Super Bowl. I get $700. Let's go.
I mean, I can see. I'm definitely going to. I'm going to say this: unless the Browns wise up quick and put Jacoby Brissett back under center, this is Commanders all day.
You said that the Lions were a good team since week 4 or 5, don't they? I mean, they had a pretty god-awful record then. What did you see in that team that made you think they'd make the playoffs in week 4 or 5? That's interesting.
Now, I'm going to be the hot take again with this one, but you got the 7-8 Jaguars, who currently lead the AFC South, versus the 2-12-1 Texans, who are waging. But I'm going to say it again, 2 weeks in a row. I'm taking the underdog in this one. I think the Texans get a big win. I think as the season's wearing in, they're finally starting to get their shit together. And I can see them making some noise before the end, within the last 3 weeks, to pick up momentum going into next year.
Yeah, I can see that. But I could also see the Jaguars going 8-8 and still competing for this playoff spot. So, I think the Jaguars are going to
win. All right, Dante giving justification on what he was saying about the Lions back in week 4 and 5. He said, I said they were a good team. They had the tangibles, but they weren't executing the moment they started shaping up the defense. The offense started showing up like they already were. The defense was the issue. Okay, so he's saying the defense at the beginning of the year, the offense was looking good, but the defense wasn't. And once the defense started to gel, they started looking like a solid team. I can agree with that. I can wholeheartedly agree with that. But again, I'm taking the Texans. The 11-4. All right, the 11-4 49ers at the 6-9 Raiders. The Niners have already clinched the NFC West. The Raiders are on the bubble. Now, I would have picked the Raiders in this game easily, especially knowing that they got something to play for and how much of a locker room leader Derek Carr is with being able to rally a team. However, with the Raiders' choice to bench Derek Carr in favor of Jarrett Stidham for the last 2 weeks, which I'm going to say right now is not a tell on Derek Carr. It's not a tell on his talent. It's not a tell on what he's able to do as a quarterback. The reason they're benching Derek Carr is because Coach Josh McDaniel has history with Jarrett Stidham. They both just came from New England. Obviously, Stidham's going to freaking want to push his boy to the top. Or obviously, McDaniel is going to want to push his boy to the top.
Now, Stidham, like what? Is he like a 10-year pro? Because McDaniel didn't coach like until just recently. It's been a while.
Stidham was the starter immediately after Brady left for Tampa in New England, which was only 2 years ago.
Yeah, but McDaniel just coached like very long ago, though.
Wasn't he just in New England last year?
No, he was not. It's been Bill Belichick, dude. The hell?
Yeah. Wasn't he Belichick's offensive coordinator?
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
Let me look into this. Oh, interesting. Oh, for 14 non-consecutive seasons. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, no. He's been with the Patriots since 2012. In 2012 to 2019, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. 2020, offensive coordinator. 2021, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So, yes, Jarrett Stidham is his boy.
Well, he did go back to the Patriots.
He's been with the Patriots since 2012.
Okay. No, yeah, he did return in 2012.
Yeah, he was originally with the Patriots from 2001 to 2008. Then he went and was the head coach of the Broncos from 2009 to 2010. The offensive coordinator for the Rams in 2011 and has been back with the Patriots since 2012 until this year where he took over as the Raiders head coach.
Okay, I didn't know he went back to the Patriots.
Yes.
I do remember he was the Denver Broncos head coach and he was dog shit.
That being said, Jarrett Stidham is his boy. So benching Derek Carr is definitely not a tell on Derek Carr. It's a tell on McDaniel's plan for the future, and that's centering his offense around Stidham. Which goes back to say
I think he's centering this season around him getting fired again after a year or two.
That too. But this goes back to what I said back in the offseason when we were on Shock Sports, that the Raiders made the biggest mistake possible by not giving the head coaching job to Richie Bisaccia.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I feel like this team really fucking played around him. I don't know why you wouldn't keep a guy like that. Instead,
now we're going to
an idiot who coached like an idiot in 2009 and 10.
Well, looking at New England's success since he came back in 2012, winning what? 3 more Super Bowls?
He's a hell of an offensive coordinator. I mean, the guy just cannot lead as a head coach.
Well, that seems to be the streak with most of Belichick's coordinators.
I think Derek Carr is fine.
Dante saying Carr isn't the answer. Carr isn't the answer. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's definitely not a top tier.
I think the Raiders are fine.
I mean, the best thing I will say about Derek Carr is he's consistently slightly above average. But we're going to move on to a game
the Raiders would be fine if they kept him. I don't know why the hell they're freaking out.
A game that has playoff implications. Both teams still on the bubble. Not to mention, this is a grudge match in the making, as it is the 7-8 Jets playing against the Seahawks, who are also at 7-8 and are led by a former Jets quarterback in Geno Smith. Both teams still on the bubble. Maybe this is my heart speaking more than my brain. But honestly, my brain saying this one could go either way. I'm going to go with my heart anyways. I think the Jets take it. Especially now that we're going to have Mike White back.
I don't know. I feel like this Jets defense is a bit iffy. The Seahawks can get really good when DK Metcalf's on fire, and he has been. He's an 1,000-yard receiver. And they have a hard time against the passing game.
Which team does?
Contain DK. We'll see.
Honestly, you got your defensive rookie of the year that's going to line up opposite DK the whole game. I think Sauce got this matchup.
I don't know.
Either way, another game with big playoff implications. The 12-3 Vikings at the 7-8 Packers. The Vikings, who have already clinched the NFC North, and the Packers, who are still in the hunt.
That's going to be an interesting game. Are we going to see Aaron Rodgers finally miss the playoffs in his career? I mean, and if that happens, what does this mean for the Packers? Really? What do you do from here?
I'm looking to see what their Green Bay's
Packers lose, they're out of the playoffs, guaranteed, basically. Where do you go from there? As an organization, as a general manager, do you keep Aaron Rodgers for the next year, or is it time to get rid of him?
But the thing is, he's not a free agent at the end of the year. He's still got one more year on his contract.
Do you trade him, or you just stick with him and go, okay, maybe we tank another year?
Well, what did they do against the Vikings? Okay, Vikings 23-7 week 1. Who's the fourth team in Green Bay's division? The Packers, Lions, Vikings, and Bears. Okay, so they are 1-1, 1-2. 2-2. Oh, well, New England or Green Bay is currently 2-2, and their last 2 games are against divisional opponents.
70. I see.
So, Rodgers is not the issue. I agree with Dante on that one. I mean, the dude has carried this team on his back for how many years? And honestly, you never want to. I think Aaron Rodgers is easily in the top 10 quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
Or if not top 10, definitely top 15. And it's hard to bet against one of the GOATs. I think Rodgers takes this team to 9-8 to get the playoffs.
I don't know.
I'm taking Packers over Vikings. As much as I love the Kirk Thuggins train, I'm taking Rodgers. I'm going with Green Bay.
I really wish I would have bet on the Kirk Cousins MVP race on FanDuel this year. I really wish I'd have taken it because I was really thinking about it. And I remember Mark Madden. He got me thinking. He's like, I think a good bet. Because, like, you know how he advertised would be Kirk Cousins for MVP. And I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, nah, I'll never win that. Now, all of a sudden, he's, like, top 3 among one of the candidates for MVP. And, like, I really wish I'd have done it. I could have been a gangbuster. He's one of the underrated picks for this year's MVP. I don't know why I didn't think.
We've got
He would not.
3 more games to predict. The 5-10 Rams at the 9-6 Chargers. The Chargers have already clinched a playoff berth. The Rams have been eliminated from contention, but the wild card in this, the whole wild card in this equation is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it ain't that cool.
And honestly, looking at how much life Baker's been showing since he got his new home in LA.
I don't think he's coming for Stafford's job, so you better calm down with that.
Even as the technical away team in this matchup, given the fan loyalty in the LA area, whether they're wearing their white jerseys or not, the Rams are going to be treated as the home team by the fans.
Absolutely.
I think the Rams take this win.
Yeah, I gotta go with Chargers on this one, dude. Rams don't got nothing to play for. They're actually going up against a decent team. No, I don't think that's how it works.
They don't, but Baker does. Baker is either trying to earn his job. Baker's either trying to earn the job with the Rams next year, or he's trying to earn money elsewhere because he is a free agent going into this offseason.
Well, I was going to say, I hope so. He just signed a contract for the rest of the year. That's it.
And my thing with Baker in this situation is this is the first time he's actually had a decent system to work under in his career. And now he's starting to show the potential that made him the number 1 pick in 2018. I'm taking the Rams on this one.
I thought Baker. See, I think Baker's a good quarterback. I still don't think he's going to be able to beat the Chargers. But
all right. The 7-8 Ravens or Steelers at the 10-5 Ravens. The Ravens have already clinched a playoff berth. Pittsburgh's still on the bubble. And I've got to look more into this because I've read a few postings online today that are saying Pittsburgh is ready to fire Matt Canada.
Now, do you remember what the source was who said that?
I'm looking at this now. It's coming off of Fan Nation and Still Curtain. And Fansided.
I don't know who they are.
Also on Steelers Wire. Oh, and Sports Illustrated. Pittsburgh Steelers players aware Matt Canada will be fired. The Pittsburgh Steelers know their offensive coordinator has 2 games left. And I'm just going to read this article here. It's from All Steelers FN on SI.com. Apparently, the Pittsburgh Steelers already know Matt Canada's So that being said, if it's coming from Sports Illustrated, you got to think it's probably legit.
Yeah, Steelers Wire.USA Today. So even USA Today with the Steelers Wire. But they're saying that maybe he got put on the chopping block too late. I happen to agree with that. I think he has been on the chopping block too late. I think Mike Tomlin's been 5 years too late on the chopping block. But
do you think this makes him really hit the books to come up with some better game planning? Knowing that his job is probably over, trying to raise his stock to go elsewhere?
Man, dude, this guy coaches with his head up his ass, okay? This guy's afraid to let Kenny Pickett throw the ball more than 5 yards. I mean, we have to call it out like it is. I don't know what his problem is. Ever since he's been brought in after Fichtner, he just does not let quarterbacks throw more than 10 yards. Same problem we had with Fichtner. Just seems like we kept that same style. And I don't know if we'll ever move past that. I think firing Todd Haley was a terrible idea. And we are paying for it.
The other thing I'm looking at is Lamar Jackson healthy?
That's a good question. I don't know about his injury status. So I'm going to have to decline for comment there.
So that being said, if the Ravens are playing with, what is it, Tyler Huntley?
Yeah, Huntley it should be. But we heard Huntley last time, I thought. I'm not sure how he's doing now, but let's take a look at the news for the Ravens that I'm on their page on ESPN. Trying to see their injury report. Of course.
I'm messaging a buddy of mine, and actually a buddy of Dante's, to see if I can get an answer from him real quick on who is your quarterback for Sunday.
He is questionable right now. He remained a non-participant in Thursday's practice, so it's looking like Lamar Jackson because he's a non-participant again.
So that means he's probably not going to play,
Right.
which would make
Marcus Robinson is also questionable. Nick Boyle is questionable.
Looking at those factors, I got to say the Steelers might have a punching chance in this game.
Right. I mean, they have a injury at each key position on offense. That is a bit scary for the Ravens. Nick Boyle, good backup tight end, good blocking tight end. He's out. DeMarcus Robinson's out with a groin injury. And then Lamar Jackson with that knee still. Tylan Wallace gets on the injured reserve Wednesday. Or
taking those injuries into account, that's going to make me take. I was going to say Ravens, but taking those injuries into account, I think the Steelers keep their playoff hopes alive.
And Devin Duvernay, I don't know if you remember from December 22nd, but he broke his fifth metatarsal on his right foot last week. So, yeah, the fact that they're missing Devin Duvernay, as well as DeMarcus Robinson probably. Yeah, I don't know. This offense for the Baltimore Ravens is looking rough. I might actually bet on the under for this game based on that knowledge I got now. We know it's going to be an under game.
So are we both taking Pittsburgh?
Yeah. I think Pittsburgh's going to win another 13-10 style game. It's probably what we're looking at. All right,
and then the Monday night game. Which is going to be a big game. Buffalo's already clinched the AFC East. 12-13. What the fuck am I doing? Another typo. Let me fix that.
12-13. They somehow figured out a way to play 25 games in 18 weeks. Holy fucking shit. That is insane. Man, the Bills find out a way how to lose 4 Super Bowls in a row and fucking play 25 games in the season. That is awesome. Man.
You're a dick.
Only the Buffalo Bills can do such a thing. And still not have a Super Bowl win somehow. With all the rosters they've had.
You're a dick.
Yep. I know.
All right, let's put that up right now. The 12-3 Bills at the 11-4 Bengals. Buffalo has clinched the AFC East. Cincinnati has clinched a playoff berth. This is going to be a good matchup, but I think my money's on Buffalo to win the bye.
Yeah, it's going to be down between Kansas City and Buffalo. I think Kansas City's probably going to clinch that. Pat Mahomes has been playing a little bit more consistent. Josh Allen's been throwing picks a lot, so you have to take that into consideration. He's not been throwing Kenny Pickett picks, but he's been throwing picks. You know what I mean? So Josh Allen's not been playing today.
We're going to move on to the current playoff pictures for both conferences. The current FC playoff picture, the teams with asterisks have already clinched the playoffs. The other teams are still up for grabs, but you got the Eagles currently as the top seed in the NFC, the Vikings at number 2, the 49ers at 3, The Buccaneers right now are the 4th seed as the leader of the NFC South. However, as we both discussed earlier, we can see this changing after this week. The 5th seed Cowboys have clinched, and then the 6th and 7th seed Giants and Commanders. On the bubble, you got the Seahawks, Lions, Packers, Panthers, and Saints. I can honestly see the Buccaneers getting dropped out in favor of the Panthers. And I can see the Lions knocking off the Commanders. I think it's going to be Eagles, Vikings, Niners, Panthers, Cowboys, Giants, and Lions.
Well, if Lions make the playoffs, they're definitely a first-round knockout against the Eagles.
Well, it would be a first-round knockout against the Vikings.
Vikings would be 2.
Because the Eagles would have the bye.
You're right. I'm sorry. However, I read that wrong on your thing because it said 2. I saw Eagles 2, not 1 Eagles. Whoops.
However, I can also see the Eagles falling down into a wild card spot.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to lose their last 2, and I think the Cowboys are. Let me see who their last. I know the Cowboys. We both think the Cowboys would win this game.
Over.
Yes.
Vikings would have this. Would have it.
I'm looking at the Week 18 schedule now. Who do the Cowboys and Eagles both play? Mm-hmm. Philadelphia's playing against the Giants, a divisional rival. And Cowboys are playing against the Commanders. So I can see the Cowboys winning both of their remaining 2 games. The Eagles, I don't know. The Giants are still in the playoffs, and I do have them projected to keep the playoffs. So I can see them getting a big upset Week 18.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts are, but I see the Vikings getting the first round bye.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is with the Buccaneers, with the 4th seed. The fact that, look, I understand division should matter, but when it comes to seeding, I think it's still a bit unfair that they get to get a 4th seed and a home field advantage for the first round. Girls!
Even as the worst team making the playoffs, yes.
Well, they
and
shouldn't
in
be
the
making
AFC
the playoffs, but it's fine that winning your division, you should make the playoffs, but you should be seeded by best record. That's the way I feel like the football playoffs should be. Fine, you won your division, you should make the playoffs, but you should still get a last seed.
All right. Now you got in the AFC playoff picture, the 1st seed Bills, 2nd seed Chiefs, 3rd seed Bengals, 4th seed Jaguars. Who Jaguars have still not even clinched a playoff spot.
Well, let's see.
But the 5th seed Ravens, 6th seed Chargers, and 7th seed Dolphins. Realistically,
so at this point,
we have the AFC South is trying to figure out which team is winning that week division, and then that 3rd wild card spot, which, as I said before, we're looking at the 3 teams with the most likely to take it are all in the AFC East.
Right.
You've got the Dolphins, who are 8-7, the Patriots, who are 7-8, and the Jets, who are 7-8.
Don't forget the Steelers. The
Jets
also at 7-8.
The Steelers are at 7-8, but looking at the Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, the only way Pittsburgh gets into this is if they win both of the remaining 2 games. The Dolphins tie with the Patriots this week and then lose next week.
Yeah, it is what it is on that front.
Like the Steelers need the Dolphins need there to be a tie in the last 2. Need there to be a tie this week. If there's not a tie with the Dolphins Patriots game, the Steelers are out.
Damn, we are fucked.
Now, the team that I see having a shot, a punching chance at making a change here and getting into the playoffs, week 18, you got New England at Buffalo. That ain't happening. You got week 17, you got New England versus Miami. Week 17, who I can't remember who the Jets are playing this week. They are playing. Oh, the Jets are playing against, who did we say?
This AFC title, not title, but this AFC playoff race is looking pretty interesting to me, especially on the 7th wild card front.
Now, I hate to say it, but I think the Dolphins are most likely going to keep the 7th wild card spot, given that they are playing against the Patriots this week and the Jets next week. However, if the Dolphins are able to get the win over the Patriots, and the Jets beat the Dolphins next week, the Jets would actually jump over the Dolphins due to the tiebreaker.
There you go.
Because the Jets would have beaten the Dolphins both games. So the Jets have it.
If the Jets win and find out what happens from there.
So as I'm saying, if the Jets are able to beat the Seahawks this week, that 7th wild card spot will most likely come down to the Dolphins-Jets game on week 18. Because I don't see the Patriots.
Oh, it all depends on the Jets this week.
That's true. If the Jets lose, they're done.
Right. So the Jets' fate is in their hands.
Yes, it is.
The season's in their hands this Sunday.
Let's rephrase that. The Jets' season is in Mike White's hands, and I'll say this much: I like Mike White's hands. I like Mike White's hands a hell of a lot better than I like Zach Wilson's hands for this situation.
Now, see, it's kind of funny because Zach Wilson went from banging moms to figuring out if he has to do working fast food after all this. I mean, how do we go from banging moms, hot moms, to, oh, shit, what am I going to do for work? I found that pretty interesting. But
I mean,
all right, man. It was fun talking football with you. I have to go. I'm tired, man.
The only other thing I wanted to cover, because I'm not a basketball guy and I didn't want to touch on that too much. I just got to see if anything has changed here.
But
nothing's changed in that division. What about the Metro? Canes, Devils, Penguins. Okay, so the Metro has changed. So I'm going to have to give updates. I typed this out before tonight's games were played. And so there will be some adjustments on this, but this is what it was at the beginning of the night. Nothing has changed in the standings with the Atlantic other than the points. We now got the Bruins at 59, the Maple Leafs at 50, the Lightning are up to 45 points. The Red Wings are still at 37. The Sabres are up to 36. The Panthers are up to 36. The Senators are up to 35, and the Canadians are still at 33. In the Metropolitan, there has been a jump in the standings. We are now looking at the Hurricanes at 52 points, the Devils at 46. The Capitals are now in 3rd place with 45 points. The Penguins are in 4th place with 44, tied with the Islanders and then Rangers at 44. Penguins take it with the... Actually, I don't know how the Penguins have the win on this. 19-10-6 versus 21-14-2 and 19-12-6 are the records for the Islanders and the Rangers. The Flyers at 31 points and the Blue Jackets at 22. Over in the Western Conference, in the Central, we've got the Stars at 50 points, the Jets at 45, the Wild at 42, the Avalanche at 41, the Blues at 37, the Predators at 33, the Coyotes at 31, and the Blackhawks at 20. And down in the Pacific, you've got the Golden Knights at 50, the Kings at 48, the Flames at 41, the Kraken at 40, the Oilers at 40, the Canucks at 35, the Sharks at 29, and the Ducks at 24. We're starting to see some runaways with the NHL. We're starting to see some teams that are probably all but ruled out at this juncture in the season. Now, we're still not even halfway through it yet. There's no team that's at 40 games yet. The closest you got are the Capitals at 38. But realistically, I think we can all say the Canadiens, actually, they could still turn it around, but we could say the Blue Jackets are probably foregone conclusion that they're missing the playoffs. The Blackhawks are probably not making it. And you could probably say the Ducks are ruled out as well. But Eric's already jumped out of here. You can catch him. We'll have to get him in here and let you know his stats, Twitter handles. I'll actually look that up right now for you. While I'm at it, you can follow me at TJE Joker. You can follow me at Mooncutters for the Mooncutter Sportscast show. Make sure you're following us on our YouTube channel, Running Force Productions. Running Force is said with one word, and it is the logo that is up here in the corner. Find that. You got the right channel. Otherwise, it's Mooncutter Sportscast, giving you once again another midweek update. This is Geoffrey signing off.